let's do this. So why am I doing this? A little background. So I took guitar lessons when I was about 11 years old or something like that. I still remember a few things. I still remember some chords to a few classic rock songs, some of those chord progressions, simple stuff like that. But I never learned the notes on the fretboard, and I never learned any chords past first position. And I've had this electric guitar since my 10th birthday, and I used to have an acoustic guitar, but I think my mom sold that several years ago. But I'd love to learn how to properly play the guitar. I have the musical knowledge. I passed 4 semesters of music theory classes. I have a degree in music, so I have the musical knowledge. I've also intensely studied instruments in the past. I have spent several hours a day just practicing on the marimba or on the snare drum or whatever else. So I have the musical knowledge and I know the importance of practicing. So armed with all of this, here are my goals. I want to get comfortable with as many of the notes as I can on the fretboard. I want to be able to play more complex chords like 7th and 9th chords. And I want to be able to noodle competently across different scales and modes. Now here are the rules. I must practice at least 10 minutes every single day, ideally 30. And I can't miss more than 2 days of practice in a row, otherwise that defeats the purpose of the challenge. And that's it. So let's see how it went. So right now what I'm trying to do, I looked up on our trusty YouTube University some, I guess, beginner things that one should know if they want to learn the fretboard, which is where I want to start. I want to learn what all of the notes are on each string. So I found one exercise to go 1 by 1 per string from the lowest to the highest and just playing the natural notes. So here's E, F, G, A, B, C, D, and then E. So I looked up a couple of more tutorials, and I think the move is to learn the scales, the major scales, because I feel like that's a great starting point for anything. And I feel like if I know those notes well around the fretboard, then I'll be able to play all of the modes, you know, throughout the scales, especially like minor scales and whatnot. I think if I'm comfortable around the major scales, then I would be comfortable around almost anything. I suppose I know E major for starting at the low string. Also figured out how to play C major. So I think I'm going to spend some time playing C major up and down with a metronome and saying the notes out loud, so I really start to like internalize that. So I'll try it. So I was doing some noodling around on the guitar here on my lunch break and figuring out E major and C major. I figure that those shapes must work for other scales. So I got to thinking, if this is C, and that's the first note of all these notes, I can go up 1 fret down and that'll give me B. And I was playing around with it and I think I came out with B major. And it worked. It's the exact same shape as C major. So I figured out 3 scales now, E, C, B. And then I was thinking the same for E major. So the second note in E major is F sharp, which is this note. Bottom string, 2nd fret, F sharp or G flat. And thought how I could get the scale for that. And it's the same shape as B and C. I gotta say, I'm having a lot of fun with this. So I was noodling around yesterday and I figured that if I know how to play the major scale, then I can just figure out what this fingering would be for the different intervals of the minor scale. So what I came up with was this. I'm not 100% certain if that's how you're supposed to play a minor scale, but I think it works because the fingering makes sense to me and it's similar to the scales that I've found. So technique-wise, I think I'm running into trouble with my pinky finger most often. Whenever I play a note with the pinky, it kind of buzzes. So I think that what that's telling me is that I'm not pressing down, firstly, hard enough so that it completely depresses the string. But also, I don't think I'm doing it accurately because I think you're supposed to press down with the very tips of your fingers rather than like the print of your fingers. But whenever I go with the pinky, it like comes down flat like this rather than just the tip. So I end up kind of hitting other strings, and if there are other strings that I'm hitting either by accident or not, they end up buzzing as well. So I have to practice my technique with the pinky. I think the other fingers are fine. So I haven't recorded an update in a while, but I promise I've been practicing at least maybe 10 minutes every day. I haven't had much time to really look up new things to work on. So in my just noodling, I kind of figured out how to, based on the major scale that I put together, how to play all of the other modes. I think, and I know that there are different shapes for all across the neck for different patterns. But based on this shape, I was able to get all 7 modes out of one tonic center. So here's C Lydian, for example. And I'm gonna go from brightest to darkest. So here's C Lydian. Ionian. Mixolydian. Dorian, Aeolian, Phrygian, and Locrian. So I've been doing that over and over again, and it's actually pretty intuitive to get the proper whole steps and half steps that make up each of the modes. Another thing too, I am applying my knowledge of other instruments to this. So I came up with this other exercise, which is basically going up and down the scale in thirds. Like that, and it's a lot of fun. So that's basically what I've been doing over and over again. What I need to do more of is figure out more chords, I think, practical chords, maybe work on my arpeggios. I think that would be very useful across all the scales. I'm not sure if the way that I'm doing them, based on the scale, the arpeggio would be this. I don't know if that's the correct way to do it, but it's a way to do it. So after those 30 days, I can really say I feel a lot more comfortable playing on the guitar. I feel like I can find most of the notes that I want to at a moment's notice, or easily figure out a note that I need to play on any string, on any position. I did miss one day of practice, but I was laying in bed feeling guilty about it. I practiced the morning after, but there was one night that I missed. Every day I did get at least 10 minutes of practice in, even if it was just noodling around, going over scales while watching television. I didn't really have a chance to go over more complex chords like I said I wanted to. I think I'm in a better position now where I can get to that point quicker and easier than I did a month and a half ago. But I was able to play all of my major scales 2 octaves up and down in all 7 different modes. So I consider that a real win. And I think my technique has improved a lot too. I can tell from the footage that from the first day, it felt pretty awkward and I wasn't really getting it. And my fingers looked odd. And by the last day, my fingers were moving a little more naturally, more smoothly, they were flowing, and I was starting to develop the muscle memory. I definitely want to continue playing guitar more and more since I feel more comfortable with it. So if you have any pointers for how to continue on learning the guitar, do let me know in the comments down below. I'd really love to hear all of your insights. So until next time, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Ernesto Composer. You can visit my Patreon at patreon.com/Ernesto Composer. You can get access to templates, score study versions of my own published works, Score Study Sunday Hangouts every single month, and more goodies. You can visit my website at ernestocomposer.com. Thanks so very much for watching, and as always, take care.